Michael Jackson's voice from beyond the grave, his own doctor secretly tape recording him, then feeding him deadly drugs. You just heard the audio, as that jury did. It is sickening. Why? Because we hear the weakened state that Michael Jackson is in. We can practically feel him lying there, almost incoherent, with his own doctor secretly recording him. And then to know he pumped Jackson full of drugs through an ankle injection. We are live in L.A. taking your calls. The king of pop is dead. And now in a court of law, his doctor, his living Caribbean doctor, Dr. Conrad Murray, on trial for manslaughter. We're camped outside the courthouse. Joining me first, Gene Casares, correspondent in session. Gene, we all heard that this tape exists. Now we've heard it just like the jury did. It is sickening to think that Jackson is in that condition. And I can just imagine Conrad Murray hovering over his body, sticking in the injection in his ankle and letting the propofol flow.
Well, Nancy, I was in that courtroom and I watched that jury, and I think the jury was stunned, and I'll tell you why. They had transcripts and they focused on those transcripts for 4 long minutes as that audio absolutely bounced between the walls in that courtroom. But when it was over, jurors seemed to inadvertently just look at the family. They didn't mean to stare, but they just looked at them, and stunned silence.
Stunned silence. And what exactly did Conrad Murray do? I mean, why was he secretly audio taping his own patient? Why?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. And I'm sure jurors want that answer. I'm sure the defense wants to give the answers. But everyone was either listening to try to understand what Michael said, or those of us in the gallery, we got to look on the big projection screen. It was pretty small writing, but we got to read also the transcript as that audio tape was played.
And so did the jury get to see the transcript too?
Oh, they got individual transcripts that they got to read very closely. So they were riveted reading that transcript because you could hardly understand what was being said. That's why they needed the transcript, and that will be demonstrative aid for them when they go into that jury room to deliberate. It's not evidence, it's demonstrative.
So, yes,
but
they have a transcript. That was my question. Did they have a transcript? So they could understand what Jackson was saying. To you, Ellie Jostad, our chief editorial producer, what I don't get is why a doctor would secretly tape record his own client, his own patient.
Right, and that's what's puzzling about this, Nancy, is what exactly did Dr. Murray hope to do with this recording? Now, the state probably wants to show that he knew Jackson was already under the influence of drugs. And remember, at this point, he'd already been ordering propofol for Jackson.
I've got to go to the doctor. We're going to go straight back to the courthouse. And Gene Casares, also with us, Dylan Howard from Radar Online and Star. But Dr. Robert Kaufman, doctor of internal medicine, you know, I don't get it, Dr. Kaufman. Conrad Murray was under the same oath as you to secretly tape record your client. And we can hear, I'm just a JD, you're the MD, but even I, with the untrained ear and eye of a doctor, you know, not like a doctor, I can tell he is completely incoherent. His inner circle completely nutting up because they all know there's a problem. And what does Conrad Murray do besides taping secretly his own client? He sticks a syringe in Jackson's ankle and shoots him up with drugs. I mean, aren't there rules about secretly recording your client?
Well, first of all, there's HIPAA rules. So you can't record or have anything available without the patient's permission. The only reason to copy anything or record anything is to use it. So he knew he was doing wrong. The patient was obviously over-medicated, intoxicated,
it's disgusting.
And it's just no way. He knew he was wrong, so he was trying to protect himself.
What does Murray do? He shoots him up with more drugs. He feeds Jackson more and more and more until he dies while Conrad Murray's in the other room with one of his mistresses on the phone.